Hello everyone, my name is Steven Zapata, greatest living draftsman, and I've got a new course out, Design Fundamentals. It's meant to help you understand design on a comprehensive and principled level and show you how to run projects that build skills and contribute to a portfolio. Maybe you want to be a concept artist, an illustrator, a fine artist, or just the most badass hobbyist on your block. Whatever you want to do with art, if you ever want to do anything vaguely original, you need to understand design. You need a process and a mental framework for getting to something new rather than just copying what you've seen before or photos of stuff that already exists. If you do want to improve at design, that process, that mental framework, it does exist. It's based on the principles of design, and I've spent the past year, is it more than a year? Oh my God, this took forever. I've spent the past whatever putting this course together, full of my insights into the elements of art and the principles of design. Across 10 assignments in this course, you will be concepting your own imagined video game. You'll come up with the overall idea, you'll pick a theme, you'll write a treatment, and you'll design assets that give you a chance to practice all these new concepts. And at the end, all of these individual assignments come together into a cohesive final image. When I designed this syllabus, I wanted to make the course I wish I had taken back in my first year of school. And I did. If I was asked to teach Design 1 at Art Center today, I would just play these videos as my lectures, and this is the same cohesive, practical, fun assignment I would make the students do all semester. Also, just like a college course, everyone gets my feedback on all 10 assignments. In the exclusive course community, you can post your work to get feedback from me and your peers, and there's even a video workroom that's always open so you can hang out together while you work, and to celebrate the course launching, it's on sale, so get it while the getting's good. If you're interested in my first course, Form from Imagination, it is also on sale. So if you're interested, go to zapatacourses.com/design fundamentals and check it out. And I will see you on the other side of the mystical gateway of design. Super muted right there. All right. I'm alive. I'm alive, and whoo boy is the course finished. It is out. It is done. Hello everyone. Hello to Draw Symmetry. Nobody, Nakapud. Kayla, Wahab, Scott Heber Art, Pedro Assisi, Froggies. Precious, Colin Gallagher. Lockman, 175200. Keynuts, Estrongi, Winter Squash 3341. Hello, everybody. We got Neil Kowalkowski in the chat who says the man himself. That's right. Let me see if I can put you guys up on. Let me put you guys up for a little bit. Oh, I'm going over to the sources. Window capture. New window chat for today. And I take it would be this pop out. Here you go. Okay. Fripsite, howdy. Northwest Rex. It's over. It is over. My course is out. Took a long time, but it's out. It's available. If anybody's interested, you can look in the description. zapatacourses.com/design fundamentals. That'll take you to the course. As I said, link in the description. You can also look at the most recent YouTube video. See the promo. See the promo to get an idea of what's in there. Website has a lot more information. And to the people who have already purchased it, a tremendous thank you. Thank you for joining the course. And woo-wee, it is always something. Noda01 says, Bonjour de la France. Bonjour de la New York. Nueva York. Sorosky J says, hello, finish time dad. That's fair. It's funny. That's funny. That's real comical. Yeah, you have a natural taste for humor, truly. Chapenster says, hey, Steven, you should make a course about how to get your insane confidence. I'd 100% buy that. Some things can't be taught. Some things cannot be taught. Some things, you know, it's not like design. You can train it up, learn it. Some things, you've either got it or you don't, baby. What would a confidence course actually look and feel like? It'd be like videos where I'm like, okay, go do something scary and don't be scared while you do it. It's like, okay. Pretty deep, pretty deep. That just sounds like cognitive behavioral therapy, doesn't it? Sounds like maybe what you want is a therapy, not a course, when I think about it. Layla Wahab says, Steven, I can't stick around for very long. How long will the sale on your courses be going on? I'm going to be honest, I haven't decided that. I was, as I said on a previous stream, I discovered that the course was ready today, sort of as a surprise, like the way that you guys discovered it. So I've had so much stuff going on. You know, I launched the course this morning while dashing out the door to go close up my old apartment, hand back the keys and things like that. A lot of traffic there and back. So it's just been, I haven't had really a second to think. It hadn't occurred to me. And I'm like, how long will it be up actually? I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know right now. But they'll still be on sale tomorrow. I'll tell you that. I haven't decided. Once I know, I'll post about it. I'll of course let people know how long the sale is going to be. But I don't know. I feel like I want to leave them on sale for a little longer because I usually do a sale in some sort of summer sale. And when I've done it in the past for Form for Imagination, I usually do it in May, if I remember correctly. And I missed that because I knew I wanted to do this. I wanted to pair it with the Design Fundamentals sale. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I skipped that sale. So have some chance for people to pick it up who maybe were thinking maybe I could get it in May. I don't know. Froggy says, will the design course help me find love? Absolutely. That is absolute. You know, confidence, I can't hope to train. Love, I can guarantee you that the design course will help you find love, right? I think that's a fair thing. I think that's fair to say. We can guarantee that. I doubt there's any legal repercussions to guaranteeing a drawing course can give you love. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. You know, certain esoteric combinations of theme and genre and shape, when viewed by a potential suitor, are simply going to produce love. You know, it's undeniable. I think it's undeniable that that's going to happen. Dan Stoy says, hi, Stephen. What do you think about teaching environment design at some point? Just curious. As like a focused, just environment design thing, it's possible. Interestingly, that's what I did for work for most of my professional career. But, you know, by volume, most of my professional work has been environmental designs. I spent a lot of time doing theme park and exhibition and just themed environment work. And there's a lot to talk about there. I would say I would consider it. It would be very involved, you know, because coming from that background, I'm aware that like to really be designing an environment, you need a lot of constraints, you know, to really be practicing it for real. If you take the new design course that's out, it really tries to tackle that as well. You know, if you're going to teach design, you're kind of faking it if it's just completely open-ended. It's like doing design work really requires some guardrails on it. So the design course has that. And if it was going to be something even more hyper-focused, like environment design, same thing there. And the constraints would have to be similarly more hyper-focused. Tet1865 says, are we getting a preview of the course? You can get a feel for it on the website and the in the promo, which is the most recent video on my YouTube channel. And we'll play it again. I might as well play it again on this stream a couple times just for new people who come in. But we are going to have previews. There's also previews cooking. I just didn't want to post it all on the same day because then it's all just going to come out in the wash in the algorithm, you know. But yeah, we're going to post some preview videos. I have a couple really good ones in mind that I think would make good previews, so you can keep your eye out for that. Yo, Steven, I have nothing to say other than you're cool and keep drawing, homie. Thank you, Adam Pollard. That's very, very kind. That's very, very kind. Jeff Simpson is in the chat, but retracted his comment. Must have said something very incisive, perhaps invidious. I see you, Jeff. I see you. I see how it is. You're like, I'll burn Steven with this. And then your better self, it got a grip on you. I was like, you know what? That was fair. Let me take that back. Benedict says, hey, Stephen, thank you for finally finishing the course and touching grass. No, thank you, Benedict. Thank you. I do have a couple. Is it still a stream? We're going to work. I do want to shout out a couple patrons, people who have joined the Patreon. Let's take a second here to honor some patrons. I want to thank Alex. Alex, thank you so much for joining the Patreon and for supporting over here. Oh, Alex and Jeremy with the big year-long subscriptions. Thank you so much to Alex and Jeremy. Thank you for the year-long subscriptions. It's not on my list, but I also think I remember Colin Gallagher re-upped for a year. Thank you so much, Colin Gallagher. I hope that's accurate. My list that I'm looking at over here on Patreon unfortunately doesn't show re-ups chronologically, which that doesn't seem right. They shouldn't do it that way. But I think I did see that notification come through. So Colin, if that's true, if that's accurate, and I think you were in chat, were you? Colin, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw you re-up. I really appreciate it. I want to say that. Alex, Jeremy, like I said, thank you for the new subscription to the Patreon. Alex, you are a majestic, tremendous, let's say oversized eagle, you know, with magically imbued flight pinions, you know, these long finger-like gliding feathers that you've been growing for your extensive thousands of years long lifespan. And obviously, you know, you ascend spiralward mountains that no other creature can hope to summit. Nothing on wing or foot can hope to get to those high peaks of which so many ancient civilizations have told ancient stories. But you go up there and you nest up there with your beautiful mystical eagle partner. And even though you're like a super powerful, super threatening mystical eagle, you're also like really nice to your babies, you know, your little babies that are cracking out of their scarlet red eggs, you know. So thank you so much, Alex, for being an eagle who knows how to use Patreon. I really appreciate it. Jeremy, you're not an eagle, but you are obviously an ancient machine whose mechanisms and materials have long been lost to understanding. Yeah, you spend most of your time slumbering in dark dungeons. Yeah, maybe you've got a, you know, trickly little waterfall constantly leaving a little stream of water going down your patinaed surface. And yeah, maybe you do just want to be left alone by adventurers with mystical swords, but it's not really in the cards for you. Every now and then, adventurer is going to come through. Yes, he's going to have the ancient batteries and plug them into your back, and you are going to have to wake up and do battle with him. But until then, you get to enjoy the Patreon, and you get to enjoy my honors to you. Thank you so much, Jeremy, and thank you so much to Alex and Jeremy for joining for the year. That's very kind. Thank you. We also have Lauren L. Lauren L., thank you so much for joining the Patreon. Not a bird, not an ancient machine, but certainly a strange totem of some sort. Maybe a small clay carved exotic fetish. Something pulled out of a swamp, perhaps. Maybe an archaeologist found you in a layer of strata and said, well, this doesn't belong here at all. Does it? Does it? Watson, does this make sense to you? No, that seems impossible based on everything that I learned in school. Jeremy, how could that be? And what does it say on the back of that anachronistic clay fetish? Why, it says Lauren L. Strange, what could that be? And then, yeah, of course, these archaeologists, their dreams are going to be haunted by macabre visions all night unto the last of their days. But hey, at least they made history. I mean, this is going to rewrite the history books that we found this clay fetish that says Lauren L. on it in this unusual place in the strata. Thank you so much, Lauren L. And Cardine also joined the Patreon. Thank you so much, Cardine, for joining the Patreon, supporting what we do over here. You know, everybody else, all these things, all of these esoteric and arcane things that they turned out to be, you're straightforward. You're just a legendary blade. It's that simple. Honed, razor sharp, not with a whetstone, not in the forges. That was too long ago for anyone to remember. No, your edge is sharpened every time that you are slaked with the blood of your enemies. And notice that I said the blood of your enemies, not the enemies of your wielder. No. A blade like you is under no one else's control. All you need is an arm to make your destined movements possible. But they work for you. It is only your ends that you bring into reality. Thank you so much, Cardine, for being a sentient and legendary blade who knows how to use Patreon. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the people who joined the Patreon. Colin Gallagher, I don't remember if I gave you an honorific all that time ago when you signed up. But, you know, given that I think it's your second round going around, you're a bird and you're an eagle and an ancient machine and a strange totem and a legendary sword, and no one can ever take that away from you. And you're like a weird multiverse thing where it's like you're living all of those strange magical vignettes all at once. You're like a soup of mystical power, identities, items. You're everything. You're everything. Thank you, Colin. Hello to Count Stradivarius, who says, so are you finished or not, Mr. Zapata? Are you finished or not? Oh, I'm finished. Oh, I'm finito. Walter Trustham says, is the course more life work based, or is it just the theme you choose for the examples. The assignments have you imagine a hypothetical video game. So for the assignments, you've got to do that, because in order to really be designing and to make it possible to give real design feedback, you need real constraints, right? And in a context like this, it can't be just completely loosey-goosey, or else no one's ever going to do anything. They're just going to get paralyzed. So the rails are, you've got to do the video game, and you're working towards a mock-up inventory screen for your video game. But as long as you can imagine a way to make an inventory screen that lets you get to the necessary assets, all of this is explained in the course, don't worry about it. But as long as you can imagine your game letting you make the assets and needs an inventory screen, I'm fine with you doing any kind of game you want. I want you to make up anything that you want, and I'll go there with you, and I give feedback on the thematic treatment, the chosen theme, the chosen genre, the assets that you pick, things like that. But yeah, it's completely up to you within those rails. Yeah. Chapenster says, speaking of confidence, where do you draw the line between true confidence and just being cocky? My TikTok, that's the line. That's the line, yeah. Neil Kolakowski says, got any of that cardio runner's high from releasing the course into the world, or feel like this is just the start of a next project phase? I have to admit that I think probably because I've done one before. I remember having more of a runner's high on Form from Imagination, and I think that was because I didn't know what was what was coming, as time went on. I think this time, because I have that experience, yeah, I know that this, in a sense, this is actually just where it starts. It's my courses, I really prioritize giving feedback, and I spend a lot of time doing feedback. So, yeah, as long as the run-up has been, and as much work as we've put into this, when I say we, I mean me and my editor, Lucas, the launch is, yeah, it's a big milestone, but I got to keep working on this thing every day from here on out, right? So yeah, I think I have a little bit more experience on that now. It is a next project phase and an ongoing one. Oh yeah. Edwin Gonzalez says, hey, Steven, in this course, I see a lot of color stuff. Would this cover the emotional attachment that comes with color? The emotional attachment, I mean, it depends what you mean by that. Most of the okay, so there's one layer of talking about color, which is abstract color theory. And we cover that in the color video in the Elements of Art module of the course, which is one of the craziest things I've ever made. That in particular, that color video, I think the color video on its own was it took longer than any other video in the course. It had the single longest production timeline, the color video. That talks about the color theory aspect. And when we show some historical artworks in there, we do discuss some of the emotional impact. But it's less so in that one, and it's more in the assignment demonstrations. That is where we talk about how color is determined, appropriate colors are determined by things like your theme, your genre, and the actual design constraints of your project, and less just abstract color theory. Your number one concern with color is always what's appropriate for the project. That's your number one concern with all of the elements of art. And then you see how that aligns with some of the archetypal relationships that are out there. So yeah, in the assignments is where we talk about that more. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not about the generalizations one might say about color. or red feels fiery. It's like, okay, that's kind of everything that needed to be said about red feeling fiery and passionate, right? It's about the more important layer, which is how colors interact with your project. You know, what are the expected colors for your project? What are the unexpected colors for your project? Are there particular assets that just like they already give you your color palette because there's only one color they can be? You know, we discussed that a lot. Dian Stoy sees, does a new course mean less time giving feedback for form from imagination or working more hours overall? It's more hours overall. It's more hours overall. No, yeah, I would never just like, if I was going to change anything about the feedback workload for any of the courses, I would let you guys know. You know, right now there's no plans for that. You know, the feedback is my main work, like my main structured work day to day at this point. If that was going to change, you know, I've talked about it here on stream. I have no plans to like end feedback for form from imagination or anything like that. But if I were ever to do that, you know, if something happens in life, I would sunset it and I'd give a long runway. You know, I'd let everybody who has form from imagination know that we're going to sunset the feedback, and then there'd be a long period of time where I would say, try to do all of your assignments by this date so that people have time to buckle down. And for the people who haven't used the feedback yet, to actually get in there and use it and submit assignments and all that. I would always communicate with you guys. Thank you, Hooded. Hello to Super King Tofu. Nice design on the website. Thank you. A lot of credit goes to Lucas for that. He helped me a lot with the huge amount of like, well, obviously, you know, the huge amount of editing work, but also like graphic design and doing assets and things like that for the website. He was huge help with all of that. You guys might know him by his handle. His handle is in the description of a bunch of the videos, and he also pops in here every now and then. Cinder is what he goes by. All right, folks. Let's do a little bit of drawing. You know, it's not an art stream if you're not doing some drawing. Let's draw a bit. Hold on, I want to recrop me. Oh, I'm recropping me. Ayub Azakmam says, when will the discount disappear? When will the sale end? I actually have not decided, but I'll leave it up for a while. And when I have decided, I've had a lot going on. When I have decided when I'm going to end the sale, I'll post about it. I'll make sure I blast it out on YouTube, on the Instagram. You'll know. For now, it's just up to celebrate the launch. And that's why Form from Imagination is on sale as well, to celebrate the launch of its sister course. All right, so we will continue with the adversaria. I've worked on this a little bit between the streams. I've got my intro / prologue going now. And I think I want to add more interstitial stuff here. So I actually have this broken up into 2 documents now, because I think I want to go longer on the prologue stuff. All right. Let me get up my script. Give me a second to get up my script. They say clickbait titles are the path to the dark side, Mr. Zapata. Is I'm finished a clickbait title? What did you think that meant? I don't think I'm finished as a clickbait title. I mean, I am done. I did finish the course. It is out. And this is finally my opportunity to lay in the grass and stare at the sun until I go blind. Thank God. I have to change all this text. I think I've rewritten every single word here so far. So I have to recopy paste all of this at some point. So what to do? Okay. So I got this down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I have 5 lines that I want to add before there. I think I need 2 or 3 pictures to do what I want here. All right, so I got my script open. Maybe we play a little musica on this one. I feel like I could use a little, it's a little later here today. A little musica. Hold on, I need to log in. Oh, I'm about to log in. Don't you worry about it. Invalid email, you say. I doubt it. Highly doubt it. Not true. That's right. That's right. I'm logging in. I'm logging in right now. I knew it. I'm in. No problem. Absolutely no problem. I can't hear a damn thing. Okay, can you guys just hear that music in there? Let me know. I got baited, but it is fine. The artist baited by I'm finished. What do you guys think I'm finished means? Baited by what? I am finished with the course. You know, the thing I've been talking about for like 7 months now. Have any music recommendations? I've been working long hours on an illustration and all my playlists have dried up. It depends what kind of music you like. I don't think I have good taste in music, and I find that I like dancing, so really the only thing I'm looking for from music I really like is that I can dance to it, which is actually not what a lot of artists want from music. They want like atmospheric, like emotional stuff that like jives with the art and stuff like that, and I've never had that. It's like I just want, you know, I'm drawing demons to like jungle, you know, that's what I want. So I'll recommend that. If you haven't listened to Jungle, I like Jungle a lot. Cannons, I also really like Cannons. Those are probably 2 good. I recommend those because generally people like them a lot. You know, when I've recommended them to people, people have enjoyed them, if you've never heard them before. Ayub Azakmam says, why is it cheaper than FFI? Well, first off, because I wanted it to be, because, well, I got a lot of feedback from people over the years where they were like, they really wanted to take a course, but they couldn't afford FFI and all of that. You know, they really wanted it. They really wanted something more affordable. So I knew, okay, people are looking for something a little lower in price there. And to do that, for me, the courses are priced off of the feedback. So I knew that in order for me to do that, I had to be very careful for how I designed the feedback and the sheer number of assignments. So FFI is a monster of a course, and it's not exactly 30. I think the exact count is either 28 or 29 assignments, which is a lot. So I base the prices on the amount of feedback I need to commit to, and feedback takes quite a long time, actually. So when I designed the assignment module for Design Fundamentals, I kept the assignment number down. I kept it at 10 while still teaching, carefully picking the full curriculum that I was trying to teach there. And then that allows me to provide it at a more affordable price. Yeah, the hinge point on classes is always the feedback. I'm Raphael Phoenix says, wait, what's the new course called? How much is it? It's Design Fundamentals. You can find everything about it on the website, zapatacourses.com/design fundamentals, and that is linked in the description. Trying to recall my momentum here on this story. I would work on this chapter card, but I'll be honest, I'm a little worried about spending too much time on that on YouTube. They've never given me a problem with artistic stuff before, but I don't know. Let's do some sketches that are a little more nondescript. Let's move on to what I want to happen next. Andrew Griffith, 2609, says, hey, Steven, 2 questions. 1, how ethically charged is it to take candid photos of strangers and acquaintances for drawing references? Ethically charged. Well, for strangers, I mean, you can't control how mad somebody gets. In the United States, at least, like legally speaking, if somebody is out in public, there's a legal norm called the reasonable expectation of privacy, something along those lines. So if somebody's out in public, they have no reasonable expectation of privacy, right? If they're just standing in front of a Chipotle looking silly, it's legal for basically anybody to take a photo of them because, yeah, it's like you're just out there. I know this from all of the careful legal stuff we had to learn when I was doing marketing illustrations that had photo people in them many years ago for theme parks and things like that. So it's not a legal problem. Ethically, they're gonna get as mad at you as you want, right? I mean, I have friends who, if I took a photo of them without asking first, they'd be upset, right? Like it's just up to any individual person. Some people just don't like having their photo taken. When it comes to acquaintances, I would say if you have need for a lot of reference and stuff like that, just level with them. Like have a conversation with a friend and say, I'm trying to improve at my art. I'm interested in doing like candid shots of people. Are you uncomfortable with this? I worry about this. Would you ever just agree that I can take a candid photo of you when we're hanging out, kind of whenever? Like I have some friends I know would be upset if I randomly took photos of them, and I also have friends that I know wouldn't care, They love the camera. They'd be happy to do it, They'd be like, sure, go for it, I gotta put the chat always on top. Boom. So I do not like this song at all. Let me switch playlists here. This is the main reason I don't really listen to music while I work. I don't like wasting time switching playlists. Or I said I don't really listen to music on work. When I work, I tend to either not listen to music, listen to podcasts or just nothing, or I listen to one song over and over and over again. I much prefer that. I get really frustrated. I don't know how people like split their attention during a drawing session between drawing and basically being a DJ, like constantly curating what music's playing. You going somewhere? Yeah. Where are you gonna go? All right. Hit me up if you go shopping or anything and you need me to approve something. I'll be looking at my phone. Nope. They failed me with 2 songs in a row. Done. No music. Forget it. Forget it. I'm not putting up with that. I'll do the music. Don't speak. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Tokusei says, it's not as bad as snacking while drawing. Oh my God. The psychos who snack while drawing, I cannot deal with that. There's grease on your fingers. Your pencil is going to slip slightly, and that is going to produce inferior lines. Everybody knows that. Driving while drawing? Red light is okay. Red light has to be okay. Trader Joe's roasted and salted nuts right now, says Andrew Griffith. While drawing? Bro, no. Not with the salt. Oh, with the salt. Please don't do it. Ayub Azakman sends 20 MAD. I don't know what MAD is, but I'm going to assume it converts to 5 million US dollars. Thank you so much, Ayub Azakman, for changing everything for me and my family. Now I can end the stream because I'm a wealthy person thanks to you. Thank you so much, Ayub. I really appreciate it. Ayub says, where can we get to see the Inferno concepts? I think like all of the drawings that I've done based on Dante's Inferno, which there's very few tight illustrations from that, but I think the only place now where you can find them is Instagram archive, all the way back on Instagram. There used to be a bunch on my website, but I've taken them off. My website, stevenzapata.com, has a lot of Dante's Inferno, not Dante's Inferno, Paradise Lost based stuff. This project is inspired by Dante's Inferno, this one that I'm doing now. That's definitely one of the main inspirations, but it's not straight up Dante's Inferno. Hayspoon says, I'm late. The title says I'm finished. I am. With my design course that I've been working on for a long time. Squiggle text placeholder. I want to turn this fan off. Fan off. Window open, that's what I say. LOL got me good, sir. Congrats, though. Thank you. What did you think? Some people have said it's clickbait, and I wasn't clocking it. What did you think it was? Did you think I was saying I'm done with art? Like I'm quitting art? Is that what people were thinking? No. If I was done with art, it would not be a thumbnail of me peaceful in the grass. If I was done with art and I was making an announcement that I was done with art, I would be gnashing. I would be eating dirt, not sitting there peacefully. If I give up, it's because there was no other option left. I would be in a wretched, miserable, furious, angry state. I would curse this blasted existence. I would not be sitting there all soft and calm. I would not go quietly into that night. Daryl Grant says, I'm loving the direction of this project. Thank you, Daryl. Do you have any plans to do a Discord Patreon call anytime soon? Yes, I do. I have a few queries about my personal project, and I don't know how best to ask you. Yes, I'm going to get back to those soon. I don't have a date on the calendar just yet, but now that the design course is actually out and I can structure a normal schedule around it, these past few months have just been, every moment that I had to go towards finishing, doing everything that was left on the to-do list. Now that I actually have it out and I can make a normal schedule, as I said, yes, there will be a Patreon call soon. I don't think I could do it this. I've got my family visiting from out of town this week, but then after that. So I think we'll be able to we'll do a Patreon call in July. Sometime in July we'll do one. All right, I think I want to start even closer than this. Maybe this will be the second. Well, do I even, Trying to think. I was enjoying doing much bigger cuts, section to section. How much do I really want? Cuts where all that's happening is that we're pulling out. I don't know. There's Cinder. Good to see you, buddy. He worked his ass off on this thing. That's my editor, for anybody who didn't hear me talking about him earlier. Boo Jen says, hey, good call. Gonna go turn mine off, open the window too. Inspirational as always. Thank you, Boo Jen. Yeah, open those windows. Open those windows, babe. Is it chores you're done with, Steven? No, we're never done with chores. We all have to do chores, always. I noticed that you had a brush set available in the course. I'm just curious if some of those are like the ones we see on the stream. The course brush set is the brushes that I use in the course specifically, which is quite a simple brush set. But the ones that you see me use on stream all the time, like you get my standard brushes, which are just utility brushes, but you get like my standard drawing brush, which it's one of these two, but you get that one. You get a couple of my simple, like my smooger that I like to use. You guys have seen me smooge a lot with that guy. But you get the brushes that I used in the course. If you want all of my brushes that you see on stream, which I really never use texture brushes. It's really just since I was working on this on stream over the past few days that I was whipping out a lot of texture brushes. But Ahmed Al-Douri's brushes, which you can get by searching Ahmed Al-Douri brushes free. They're free. And also Marko Djurdjevic's brushes, which is a very recent addition. If you're looking for brushes that you've seen me use before a month ago or like 2 months ago, that's not one of them. But I recently got them and I've been using a couple of them. Also free, you just need to join Marko Djurdjevic's studio. It's called 6 More Vodka. And they have a free Discord. If you just search 6 More Vodka Discord, you'll find the link, no problem. And in the resources page on their Discord, he has his brushes. So if you get that, you have all of my brushes. Everything else that I use is the standard Kyle T. Webster brushes that come with Photoshop. Yeah, that's all of them. Those I don't put in the course because I don't know. I don't feel right redistributing other people's brushes. You know, the ones that I'm talking about are free. You know, Ahmed and Marco's brushes, they do give them out for free, but still, you know, I don't post my full brush set because I worry there's something in there that I've like paid for, even though I don't think I have. And I don't want to go redistributing other people's stuff, you know. Honorroot says, hi, Steven. Congrats on the course. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's 5 a.m. here. Nice to draw along with you at this hour. And it's raining outside for the extra vibes. Ooh, that rainy vibe is so good. Edwin Gonzalez says, hey, Steven. Not sure if I'm remembering correctly, but you used to use a Mac. That's true. And now you're on a PC. Did you transfer your files from one system to another, and how? Asking for myself. No special way. I took the most important stuff and I put it on an external hard drive and brought it over manually. I have a lot of things. I've actually been planning to sell that Mac, but in classic fashion, I've been way too lazy / busy to actually sit down and assure myself that I have backed up everything that's on it to an external. So I haven't sold it yet. NMO Gtist says, draw zombies playing football at a bus stop in a bad part of town with 2x4 and broken bikes and stolen down sherry basket. I'm gonna draw two spirits exploring hell. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take your draw zombies playing football at a bus stop in a bad part of town with 2x4s and broken bikes and stolen grown sherry baskets. I'm gonna throw that back at you and say, you draw that. Let's see your version. And I'm gonna keep working on my thing. Slug this text in here. Thank you, an emojitist. I appreciate it. Emojitist? Is that how you're supposed to pronounce it? Did I say goodbye to Daryl Grant? Goodbye, Daryl. What you working on? Project. New project. Who dis? I love a good project. Ahmed Moment says, hey, Steven, did you do the editing part yourself or you hired an editor for it? I work with an editor, yeah. Because I'm working on anatomy course and I'm doing the editing part and it's fun, but it takes so much time. I hate it. It's very hard work. It takes a long time. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you can, I think it makes sense to split the workload, you know? Doing the creative direction, actually writing all the educational content, so doing all the scripts, doing all the reviews, not to mention actually doing the recordings, like doing the actual presenting and the performance. I think that's enough for one person, you know, without having to edit everything. It certainly took us long enough, even with being able to split the workload. Okay, the clickbait got me. What are you finished with? My design course that I've been working on for over a year. If you want more info, the link is in the description. Again, I did not mean to clickbait anybody. That was not my intention. I did not know anyone would interpret that thumbnail as thinking that I was quitting art. The stream community, I thought, they've heard me say for a very long time, I'm working this design course, I'm working this design course, I'm working this design course. I figured if they see I'm finished and me finally relaxing for a moment, I figured everybody would know what I'm finished with. And I put out the promo announcing it earlier. I did not mean to clickbait anybody. I thought it would be obvious. Goodbye, Zachary Jasinski. Ayub Azakman says, have you always wanted to make story out of your art, or is it just an idea you have for now? Did you hesitate before because you thought that you didn't have enough skills as a storyteller? No, every project I've ever wanted to do, I basically always immediately try to do it. I've never, never, even since I was little, I never didn't do a project because of a perceived lack of skill, either in my drawing or my storytelling abilities. I always give them a shot, and I always try them and try to do some version of them. On storytelling stuff, I'd get stuck on things like I couldn't think of a good ending or something like that, or just have motivational problems, right? I'm definitely I lean harder into art than writing, for example. So the task of sitting and writing like a book, something really long or something like that, it comes with a lot of motivational problems for me just because I don't have as much experience with managing my energy through a writing task as opposed to a drawing task. I've gotten a lot better with that over the years. But I've always just seen bouncing off of things or giving up on things as being about that. It's never about a perceived lack of skill. I feel very fortunate that since I was pretty young, I've always accepted that I'm not the best in the world at this stuff, and I'm never going to be, right? It's not about that. You need to just keep trying to make the things, there's bigger problems than perceived lack of skill. There's lots of stuff that, you've also got to remember that there's lots of stuff that, it, just look in your life. How many things that you hate and think suck ass are hugely successful, and there's people in tears over it. They really connected with it emotionally. That's another thing that I feel lucky. I always got that since I was pretty young. I've always understood that the skillfulness, the virtuosity with which something is presented is not the end all be all of what the project can be. There's other things that projects do. They connect with people. They tell relatable stories. It could be anything but skill. Skill is sort of it's not the most unimportant thing, but it's not the most important. It's definitely not at the top, I don't think. And there's always a bunch of people when I say something like that who go, wrong, skill is everything. It's like, you're just ignoring all of the factual things I just said. So you're saying that only excellent product is succeeding in this world right now. You really going to take that stance? That's insane to me. Some people then, on that next step, they go, yeah, well, it's only idiots like bad product. It's like, so you think you're only going to sell product? You're only going to share art that's for other geniuses to like? You're a genius and you only make work that other geniuses are going to like? It's like, okay, you're going to have an audience of 4. So I don't know, if in that case, what are we so bent out of shape about to begin with? It's just not going to have any impact just because there's not enough geniuses to really appreciate it. If we're going to do that, then I want to get an axis going that way. Andrew Griffith asked a while ago, if you could run a drawing studio monastery, would you involve sitting meditations? How might exploring the nature of consciousness show up in the figure drawing room at Zapata Atelier? If people would tolerate it, I absolutely would. I absolutely would. I would definitely do it. I really don't know how tolerant people would be, but if they would tolerate it, yeah, I'd do. It's like sketch sessions would be interspersed with stillness. And as to how would it show up in the drawing room, I mean, it's always there. Dogs. Silence. I think I would have people sit first. I think I'd have people start with stillness. And the hope there would be to build up some concentration so that things start feeling very highly focused and placid, and hopefully having the heightened phenomenological fireworks that bring everything that's going on in the body and in the mentation into higher contrast. And then go into a drawing session in the figure drawing room, whatever, with a model from imagination, it doesn't matter. But basically have a heightened amount of concentration to then seek insight in the actual act of drawing. And then hopefully that avoids some of the more, trying to deal with more, I'm going to use the word mundane, but I'm not trying to be dismissive of like the autobiographical problems that are often racking us while we draw. I think if we started with drawing, people would accrue a very conceptual patina of disappointments. I'm not good at this. I am good at that. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this with my life. God, my dad's never going to approve of what I'm doing. It's just going to be all that same old boring stuff. And then if we go sit after that, I think it's going to, it'd be easy for the meditations to be just a fight to get back to zero and get rid of those conceptual things. So I think before the patina has accrued, build concentration with a clearer mind. Maybe the conceptual problems, they can emerge early so that they can be vacated earlier. Go into drawing more empty and more focused. And then that way you can just concentrate on the insights that can emerge during the drawing session, the mystical, life-changing, personality-shattering secrets that lie underneath a simple sketch. But we really got, to make any traction there, you got to have the autobiographical, just conceptual nonsense kind of freaking out of the way, Thank you, Smagoli. I appreciate it. Ooh, I like that idea. I like burying the text block in space, having some skulls in front of it and behind it. That's fun. I want a story about that monastery, would totally read watch. If I pulled up right now my Google Documents folder of false starts on my monastery stories, quite a few of those. Basically me trying to filter out my love for the, not filter out, but like sublimate my love for the Mumonkan, the Gateless Gate, the collection of the classical koans, try to turn that into something more modern feeling or something like that. I also once wrote a little treatment for, what was it? A lot of people are scared to show their ideas in public. They think everyone's going to steal their ideas. It's like, who's going to... I've always thought that's kind of silly. It's like, no one's going to steal your... It's like, you steal an idea? Like, they don't know how you were going to do it. It's like, even if they stole the one sentence you said about your idea, if they actually went and did it, they'd do it completely different. They don't know what you're actually planning. Okay, total tangent. Yeah, monastery stories. And I also once wrote a little treatment for 3 guys in Los Angeles who want to get into Zen Buddhism, and they live with a cool LA hippie who claims to be a Zen priest, and that he was in Japan and he holds like Dharma transmission from a lineage from Japan. And yeah, they live with him and they're trying to get these teachings from him, and the story unfolds from there. I've always loved that stuff. I just love, I love stories of people seeking spiritual things. I've always loved that. Are you making a webtoon here? And if not, would you consider creating one? I think I am, yeah. I want to try the vertical scrolling format of Webtoon, but I haven't actually like tried actually posting it to Webtoon yet. I don't know. I'll put out the call here for any help on that. It's like, I already feel the story. I mean, I don't know. Like, is stuff like this even gonna fly on Webtoon? Well, I guess stuff like that has to, right? But I don't know. I know that I think Webtoon skews younger. Like, is it gonna get taken down? I have no clue. Like, if that's in there, is it gonna get taken down from Webtoon? Does anybody read Webtoons and they see stuff like this regularly? Like, is stuff like this all in the clear? I don't know. I'll have to do some research. I might need to make I might need to just make my own infinite vertical scroll website for this, because, you know, I've been doing this long enough that's just like, I have been amazed at the things that Instagram, TikTok have taken down, you know. And of course, if you're an artist, every artist who has this experience, it's the most frustrating thing, because 9/10 of these platforms is absolute smut, absolute undeniable, just totally useless smut. but a piece of art, they're like, taken down, violates all of our policies. It's like, oh my God. It's like, even if I have had accounts banned for monster butts. It's like, did you think this monster has to have an ass? Did you want him to wear shorts? It's a monster. It's not lascivious in any way. It's not titillating in the least. It is an emaciated, marcid creature who is literally moldering as he feasts on something, and is getting banned for sex. He's just not supposed to have a butt. Is it just a back and legs and just a void in the middle, you know? Like, they're... Neil says, speak for yourself. I'm into that. Reported. Honorud says, adult stuff is no issue on Webtoon, especially on Tapas, I think. It's just that those websites are more anime and manga. Yeah, I mean, I have no hopes of, I don't care if I'm sort of out of the market for the, I don't care if I'm out of the market for the platform. I don't have any hopes of this being, just like anything that I make. I have no hopes of it going mainstream or like having a big audience. I just would like if I make this thing, I would just like a place for my audience to be able to actually view it and read it, instead of trying to piece it together from watching it fly by as I'm scrolling on stream. You know, I just have nowhere else to really post it. It's like, I did a little test post the other day on Patreon, and it's just really annoying. You know, it just comes up as a massive long picture, And I mean, you can scroll it, but it's constantly sliding side to side as you do it. It wasn't a good experience. Have you been reading anything lately, Stephen? I'm working on the Border trilogy by Cormac McCarthy. I'm currently reading the second one, The Crossing. Hold on, folks. Someone's home. Dogs are gonna go nuts, and we've been going for an hour and a half. Perfect time for a break. So I'll be right back. I'll play the promo for the course so that everybody knows what's up. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna grab a glass of water, use the restroom. Hello everyone, my name is Steven Zapata, greatest living draftsman, and I've got a new course out, Design Fundamentals. It's meant to help you understand design on a comprehensive and principled level and show you how to run projects that build skills and contribute to a portfolio. Maybe you want to be a concept artist, an illustrator, a fine artist, or just the most badass hobbyist on your block. Whatever you want to do with art, if you ever want to do anything vaguely original, you need to understand design. You need a process and a mental framework for getting to something new rather than just copying what you've seen before or photos of stuff that already exists. If you do want to improve at design, that process, that mental framework, it does exist. It's based on the principles of design, and I've spent the past year, wait, is it more than a year? Oh my God, this took forever. I've spent the past whatever putting this course together, full of my insights into the elements of art and the principles of design. Across 10 assignments in this course, you will be concepting your own imagined video game. You'll come up with the overall idea, you'll pick a theme, you'll write a treatment, and you'll design assets that give you a chance to practice all these new concepts. And at the end, all of these individual assignments come together into a cohesive final image. When I designed this syllabus, I wanted to make the course I wish I had taken back in my first year of school, and I did. If I was asked to teach Design 1 at Art Center today, I would just play these videos as my lectures, and this is the same cohesive, practical, fun assignment I would make the students do all semester. Also, just like a college course, everyone gets my feedback on all 10 assignments. In the exclusive course community, you can post your work to get feedback from me and your peers, and there's even a video workroom that's always open so you can hang out together while you work, and to celebrate the course launching, it's on sale. So get it while the getting's good. If you're interested in my first course, Form from Imagination, it is also on sale. So if you're interested, go to zapatacourses.com/design fundamentals and check it out. And I will see you on the other side of the mystical gateway of design. Okay, I got distracted scourging the dogs, trying to get them to be quiet. So I forgot, I didn't remember how long the thing was gonna run, so I didn't get a chance to go to the restroom. So now I'm gonna go to the restroom. I'll be back. Be right back. Art baby. Art baby. Art baby. Are we going to talk about how we didn't get a skit for this course? Such a shame. Who says you're not getting a skit? A little more room. I have some plans for a story which has something in it that could potentially need a trigger warning, but that thing is a plot twist I really wouldn't want to reveal. Have no idea how to handle that. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Put the trigger warning all the way at the beginning of the project, and then have the reveal be buried so deep in, so far away that by the time people get to it, they've forgotten the trigger warning was there. Nope, can't do that. Cody Paints with the $5. Thank you so much, Cody. You're the best, man. Doctor, do you ever have trouble drawing from imagination? No, of course. You just drew that. That's right. That's right. Thank you, Cody. I see that you are well versed in the ancient scrolls. Your ability to quote sacred literature is admirable. All right, let's just do a solid up to there. Do you ever have trouble drawing from imagination? No. No. That's right. And you just drew that. That's right. I hope the skit is Joe continuing as the patient who has overcome his form issues but now discovers he has undiagnosed severe design illness. That's funny. I can't do that now, of course, because people will accuse me of stealing your idea, but that's funny. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Lure Music says, you mentioned that you like writing. I primarily compose music and do drawing on the side, but for a reason. I very quickly feel emotionally exhausted in the sense of my art not being good enough. Have you experienced that with any of your endeavors too? If so, what's your way to deal with it? Changed anything in your approach? So it's not that I don't know the emotional pang that you're talking about. That sense of my art not being good enough. I have felt it. I still regularly feel it. I still get that pang. Something that I consider to be a blessing that I had throughout my journey is that I feel that I always understood it was never going to be good enough. And that has proven true as I have improved over the years. And so I always had those pangs, but unlike a lot of people, I never took them seriously. It always just seemed to me as an emotional reflex. And I always felt like it didn't actually contain real information. It didn't actually contain real workable info. I don't know why I felt that way. I think just temperamentally, I was wired to not trust such a thing. But it has served me well. And I think I see it with students a lot, the inability to get over that feeling that it's not good enough. But it's something that you must get over. And it is also, okay, I've been trying to find a way to say this where it doesn't sound aggressive or mean. I don't mean it to be aggressive or mean, but there's no other way to put it to a certain level, and people need to hear it. It's irrational to think that you are supposed to make work that's good enough for almost all artists. You know what art is. And you know that it's hard as hell. You know that your favorite artists, right, who unfortunately set the standard for your taste, right? Let's remember that nobody's taste is determined by what they consider to be mediocre. No, everybody's taste is determined by the best stuff in the world. That's just the way taste is going to function. The best stuff in the world is what has the most followers, the most attention, the most likes, the most links. It's naturally going to affect people's taste more than anything mediocre or bad. You know that the best stuff in the world is made by people who have dedicated their lives to it and have worked extremely hard at it, have maybe never done anything else, have made huge sacrifices in their lives. You know, a lot of people who are at the top of their game, no families, no personality to speak of. All they've done is dedicate their existence to this demon that lives inside their chest that is their art practice. You know that. You know that. That's what all the biographies, what all the stories are about. That's what all the tall tales about famous artists are. So you know that. You also know you're not that. Now, you may want to be that later, but you know you're not that right now. So why do you think you are supposed to produce things that match that? Do not dismiss what I just said. A lot of people will just move right along from that. You know, just, oh yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it. Right along, back to suffering, back to depression, back to hating myself, back to low self-esteem, back to irrationality. Please, if you detected in what I said a glimmer of insight into the cognitive dissonance that is built into that way of being, please connect with it. If you could nurture that insight, there is an actual life-changing reversal available there. I've seen people do it. I've seen students make progress with that understanding. Unless you are a master, it is irrational to think that you are going to produce work that you think is great, that matches your taste. Again, your taste is determined by the work of the best people in the world. You have to accept that you're a long way from making anything that lives up to your taste, that matches the best stuff in the world. So don't worry about it. Accept that you're going to fight for progress. That's what you're fighting for. Just moving the needle a little bit with the pieces, learning little thing after little thing after little thing. And there can be heights and elation and joy, you know. Like I said, I don't think that my work is the best work in the world, but I regularly experience ecstatic joy from my work that feels like it's the best work. And emotionally, it feels like I'm doing the best work of anybody in the world, even if objectively I'm not. And that's good enough, right? You can get there just by moving the needle a little bit at a time. And know that your work is going to have mistakes and things that you could nitpick on it, and forget nitpick, but accept that your work is going to fall far from the mark and do it anyway. It's the only logical thing to do. It's the only logical thing to do. That is how everybody winds up getting to the place of maybe greatness, right? Or at least making projects that they can be proud of. If you, as a beginner or an intermediate, are going to be emotionally unhorsed by not doing the work that only comes out of the pens of masters, you're never going to make anything. You're fucking yourself. You're guaranteeing that it's never going to go anywhere. Of course you are. Of course you are. Follow my thread of reasoning here. Of course you're guaranteeing it's never going to get made. You're never going to do the thing. You're never going to make work. You're eventually going to turn yourself into a miserable ball of nerves and you're going to quit, right? So you need to change it. You need to change this. You need to move on from this. And it is, I think it comes down to this, to accepting, even conceptually, but most importantly, emotionally, that, oh yeah, that's right. It's kind of my proper place in the world right now to make work that's a little shit. And that's all right. That is all right. I'm not the best in the world yet. So why am I expecting the best work in the world from myself? You shouldn't. You really shouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. You really shouldn't do that. I mean, perfectionism is a demon, an illusion. There is nothing that has done more damage to art careers than perfectionism. Forget damage. It's like perfectionism has made sure that there's no art career to damage. It's just nothing has made sure that more art careers haven't existed than perfectionism. Even if your work isn't up to your own standards, it will invariably look more human in the age of AI slop. Well, yeah. The human is blessedly human. That's true. It's Zapatover. Yeah. That one doesn't have quite as good a ring to it, does it? It's Zapatover. It just doesn't. Cody Payne says, I did a once-over of my finances and found I could go part-time and still afford to live. Considering doing it and jumping into art stuff with both feet. Is this a terrible plan? Is this a terrible plan? No. I mean, it's never a terrible plan, but you do need to be really realistic about the risks that you're running. I mean, art's hard, man. Art really is hard. You know, there is always risks. You know, there's no guarantee that, you know, a lot of people, they try to do an art sabbatical, right? And they're like, I'm going to give myself a year and all I'm going to do is my art. And at the end of that year, fuck it. I'm going to go pro, you know, no safety net. You know, you must make the climb without the rope. Like, it's going to happen no matter what, right? And it's like, damn, if you were doing so many other things in life, like really hard things, you know, studying for entrance exams for like medical school or law school or something like that, like, yeah, you'd probably tear that thing a new asshole in a year. Like, I bet you could pull it off, you know? Some of the hardest things in life, for sure, you put a whole year into that, and so it's like, it's so much, it's so likely you'd pull it off. Art is not like other things. I mean, you know, I did it, you know, I did it for about a year, and I had all these big goals and all these hopes and plans and all that. And I was pretty goddamn good. I'd already been working professionally, and I had a pretty good handle on how to discipline myself at that point. And I mean, I learned a lot in that year, and there was huge progress made. Like, anyone's going to get that. You're going to get huge progress in a year. But the things I had hoped I would pull off in that year, the things I hoped I would get, did not get them. And, I definitely at the time I had the energy of, Goku powering up for a whole episode and going Super Saiyan at the end. It was a year long, like totally, I'm there with you, I've got the power of God and anime on my side. Like, that was my energy at the time. And thank God I got a job on Elder Scrolls at the end of that period. But as far as I could tell from the phone interview, I got that job based on a drawing I did before my year off. So, luck is huge in these regards, and art is just not like other things. So I'm not trying to steal your thunder when you're considering taking this dive, taking this leap, right? I just want people to be really realistic, because artists have a tendency, like I said, to be Goku charging up. I have the power of God and anime on my side. We're not the most sensible people, and we all think we're the main character. And even though a lot of us have anxiety and we're nervous people, usually way down, deep down, we also think for sure, I'm definitely Kentaro Miura, and I'm going to be the greatest artist who ever lived, and it is going to work out for me. And that thing all the way at the core is like, that's great. That's a good thing. Like, whoever does become great, of course, had that, right? Probably. But it does also, it's what drives our very artistic decision-making and that not sensible part of us. Because yes, you could be that, but we really don't entertain the true statistical possibility that even if I go Super Saiyan for a year, that doesn't mean I'm going to have the art job that I want, because art is just not like other things. It is insanely difficult to pull off and to get the things that you want in it. It's like, it's as hard as studying for really difficult exams and really difficult fields and things like that. The whole art suite of doing an art journey, right? But it also demands you be creative while you're exhausting yourself and working yourself like a borrowed mule. Like, that's a layer that most things in life don't frickin' have. Most things in life, they're happy if they're just like, lash yourself to me. I want to control your whole fucking life. And if you do it, they're like, that's great. All right, yeah, here's the, welcome to med school, and, here's the, okay, wow, you're really willing to take instruction. Okay, yeah, that's impressive. You actually did lash yourself stuff. That's great. Art is a worse demon. Art is, I want your whole life, and you also have to be happy-go-lucky and unworried enough about it so that you can have cool, fun ideas that inspire people, and they better not be anybody else's fucking ideas, or else no one's gonna care. It's gotta be original and new. It's like, that is an insane ask to put on top of something that is hard enough without raw creativity being put on top of it. So almost any box you try to squeeze it into, I'm going to give myself a year, I'm going to give myself 2 years, I'm going to give myself 3 years. It's like, I believe in you, baby, but fuck, man, it's harder than you can imagine. It's harder than you can imagine. Fortunately for you, Cody, you're not starting from zero. That helps a lot. You've already got a lot of skills under your belt, and you've been working hard for a while. So it's, of course, much more realistic for you than it is for somebody who's closer to beginner, low intermediate, things like that. So I'm kind of speaking in a more general capacity there. It's of course more possible for you because you've been at this for a while and you have chops. Cody says, no, it's all good. I just wanted a realistic viewpoint and opinion on that. So I really appreciate it. I've got a lot more thinking to do. Finishing portfolio comes before anything else. I really think for a lot of people, people, when they're sort of in like their moment of art crisis, they tend to feel like just, I can't stand my job. Like I need to get away from my job. I need to be able to spend more time with my art. And there's a lot of the energy is them hating their job and they want a different life. And that, dude, I get it. I probably can't do anything but art. I get it. I would struggle with a lot of other kinds of jobs. But in my experience, seeing all sorts of people go through the arc and attempt it and do things like that, there's no convincing people until they've actually experienced it, right? But in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, so many of these people would have been happier and had a much easier go of it if they just kept the job. Maybe, like you said, part-time even would be good. Like if they just kept the job and accepted that it's driving them crazy and just did the work on the side while they try to make the switch, and only make the switch once it's like the work's coming in. Because, for a lot of people, you think you're going to do way more artwork without the job. And then you leave the job and you do the same amount. You actually didn't increase it. For a lot of people, that's the case. It turns out that a lot of your energy for art was coming from hating your job. And then when you lose that, the energy kind of neutralizes and evens out. And then, you don't go from doing 4 hours of art a day or every other day to doing 8 hours of art every day. You swap in other things. Now I'm depressed for 4 hours a day, and then I'll do 4 hours of art a day. Or you swap in other stuff. You say, all right, I thought I was just going to focus on art, but I'm also going to get really into fitness now. So then you also, which is good. That's good, right? But it's a different thing, So that extra 4 hours you gained, you wound up spending at the gym or doing other things. But for a lot of people, the amount of art you actually do doesn't go up. There's only so much capacity we have as human beings to do this very difficult creative thing for hours and hours and hours on end every day. But again, I have no realistic hopes of convincing anybody of that until they've tried it. Like, it's just something you need to experience on your own, I think. Omar, how are you, buddy? Good to see you, brother. Cloud Hopper says, living off your own art often has little to do with your art being good, great, isn't it? The networking, the luck, putting yourself out there, selling the product. Absolutely. Especially luck, Art is very hard, requires a lot of hours, a lot of learning things, a huge amount of practice for the level that most people want to get to. And like anything that has that, when you've experienced the hour upon hour upon hour, the hundreds, thousands of hours of practice, we are disinclined, when we've personally experienced that, to give the proper credit to luck that is due. But a huge amount of credit is due to luck. I mean, you do need some amount of luck. That old saying is true that I forget exactly how it goes, but it's like luck is opportunity meeting preparation, right? Like, in order for a lucky thing to happen, you do kind of had to have laid the groundwork for it. I think that's true, but still that doesn't neutralize the luck that is needed. I mean, goddamn, every day that you don't get hit by a freaking bus is lucky. You know, you've got to, we spend a lot of our time. I've got a skull on screen, so this is perfect. We spend a lot of our time as human beings suppressing the fact that we are in a very chaotic situation and that we don't know what's going to happen and that the world is out of our control. If you thread the needle on the chaos, suffering, and the adventitious winds of life and manage to be an artist for goddamn any number of hours in your life, that is good luck. A huge amount of that is due to luck, no matter how many figure drawings you've done. No matter how many figure drawings you've done. Take it from someone who has basically done nothing but think about making better art since he was 14 years old and has been drawing since he was 5. So, you know, still me, I'm like, hard work, I tell you. It's like, I honestly, all right, now we're in free will stuff and all that, but it's like, I consider it good luck that I had the personality to just be obsessed and work hard. It's like, was that a discipline thing, a grit thing? No, just, you know, that's me. And, you know, that I can't make an accounting of that. So that's just luck at a certain point. We don't give enough credit to luck. We really got to take it more seriously. Whew, quite a tangent. Damn. Whoa, all over the place. Mace Finch says, just got here. What does he mean he's finished? I meant I'm finished my design course, which you can find a link to in the description. Some people think, I didn't know. I didn't intend it. I was not trying to clickbait anybody. Turns out a lot of people thought, right? I guess when you see an artist laying in the grass saying he's finished, everybody's first thought is maybe he's finally quitting art. Another one bites the dust. No, that's not what I meant. And I didn't think people would think that. The stream community has heard me talking for a long time that I've been working on this design course. So I figured they would know what I was talking about there. My apologies. Cody says, yeah, that's where I'm at. They're like, hey, can you help this customer? No, I'm drawing mystical octopus siren hybrids. Becoming a sailor into a sea of kelp deep in ocean. I'm busy. Yeah, I know, buddy. I know. Christian Nee, how are you, sir? Good to see you. How do you experience that? You ever were in that situation? I forget what you're referencing. If you want to be more specific, the super nerd, I'll answer. But I was talking about so much stuff there that I forget what I was talking. I forget where that message came in and what it was referencing. Kyokusei says, it's also imposing an arbitrary timeline on something that demands more factors outside of your control to align in your favor than those that you can control. That is correct. Amen, Kyo. Amen. That's exactly right. It's hard. Angus Flannery. Is man at a crossroads your profile icon? That's awesome. That is so fucking cool. You have excellent taste, obviously. I'm the president of the International Board of the Evaluation of How Good People's Taste Is, and I can personally give you the certified rubber stamp seal that says you have excellent taste. You have excellent taste. Stephen, what is the best remedy for a stubborn cold? Zinc, I found, in the brief research I've done, the only thing that shows any statistical effect on quicker recovery from a cold is zinc, it seems. And I've had, it may be a placebo effect, but I started taking zinc pills whenever I got a cold, and I think they go faster. I do. Ayub Azakman says, do you think it would be better for a more intermediate artist to go for more business or commerce studies to balance the lack of understanding how to make a living out of your hobby? It couldn't hurt. It couldn't hurt. I mean, I don't know if you mean, if you're asking on the level of like, should I go to art school or should I go get a master's of business administration? On that level, I don't know what to say. You know, I think most artists would not have the heart to survive an MBA while dreaming of their art just because they think their MBA is secretly tangentially going to save their art career. I don't think most artists have that. I think most artists want a lot of contact time with their art, you know? But if you're more thinking on the level of like, instead of taking, you know, this night class on printmaking, maybe I take this night class on business administration. I don't think it could hurt. I mean, there's also the possibility that you try printmaking and you're like, oh, this is my destiny. And then that would be a shame to miss out on. But I don't know. Most artists don't know any business stuff. I mean, most artists can't say what kinds of taxes they should be paying. Like, they don't know, like, most artists don't know anything business-wise. So it couldn't hurt. I think it would be useful. The Super Nerd says, I think you answered it. It was about being in a job and art situation and how to balance it, but I figured that you were all about art the whole life. I am. So I always try to caveat whenever I have that discussion that yeah, I've been fortunate enough I've basically just worked in art my whole life at this point. Besides childhood jobs, I've only worked art jobs. So I always have to caveat that, like, I'm kind of talking out of my ass on balancing art with other kinds of work. I can analogize to it because, and some of you might think I'm crazy, you know, until you've lived this, but I can analogize to it because I've been in the experience of having an art job where my art job is driving me crazy. And I wish I could stop doing my art job so I could do my art more. So emotionally, it's very similar. It's just kind of an absurdist. It's the absurdist ad infinitum version where you're trying to get away from art so that you can do more art. But that can also be a lesson, right? It's like, even if you were doing art all the time, a job becomes a job and it might still drive you nuts. So again, that's why I say it's probably better for most people to just accept your job and let that feed you a little bit of aggravated energy to keep doing your art. And you'd probably actually be able to get as much work done on balance in the end. But like we said, I'm caveating. I don't actually know that. How do you manage rendering boredom? I love rendering. Rendering is one of the most fun parts for me. I think most people get bored when rendering because they haven't managed their process so that they're adding information when they render. And that's either because they don't know how to do that, which usually means they think rendering is just applying soft horseshit to a drawing. It's like, no. If you understand that rendering is explaining the form on the inside of the contours, then you realize that rendering is actually the same thing as drawing the contours. And we all think drawing the outlines is fun, right? So if you can make that switch in your head, then for real, I experience it this way. Rendering is as fun as sketching the initial sketch, and that's great. And I feel like I'm adding as much information or a similar amount of information as I do in the sketch. So the first part is that mental switch, and then the other part is, well, what do you need to actually be able to do that? And for most people, that's understanding the modeling factors, lighting well enough to actually have interesting things to say on the inside of the lines. And if you want to learn more about how to do that, you could check out my rendering course, Form from Imagination, which is on sale right now. You see, that was it. We were talking about business acumen. That was me being a businessman, right? You see, I had to go against myself in that moment and say, this is a perfect time to plug my product. So here it is, right? If I hadn't made any progress on the business side of the journey, I would have said, what? I have a course? No, I doubt. Oh, wait, yes, I do, yeah. JBKX3RK says, should the pores do art? Should the pores do art? The pores have to do art. We can't let art just be the landed gentry forever. They've had art for most of our history, and they might reclaim it. We should fight that as much as possible. Art should be, I personally believe, it should be viable for anybody. I think that something that is so good for people's mental health, to people when they don't get to, if people have the artistic demon inside of them, if they don't get to make contact with it the amount that they need, it tends to drive them insane, and then they go resentful and they wind up becoming a villain and they make the world a worse place. I'm not kidding. I really believe this. So I think that it's important for people to be able to exercise their creativity, and that it winds up making the world a better place. It makes people healthier. I really actually believe that. So if people do not have proper motivations, they won't do anything, right? So we need our artistic dreams and our hopes and possibilities in order to motivate doing this extremely spiritually healthy thing. So I really think it would be, that is my argument for it being genuinely bad for the world for only the rich to make art, which has been the norm. Or at least there has been long eras where it was the norm. I think that would be genuinely bad, and it would be better for the world if there was good reason and motivation for people of all financial situations to make art. Omar's Project says, hey, Steven, do you have any good resources for someone interested in learning more about design? There's a link in the description. That'll lead you to my new design course. Go check it out. There's info on the website. The promo is on the YouTube. You can get a feel for it there. I've been working on it for a long time. I'm very proud of it. Comprehensive. Very involved. Long, detailed examination of the elements of art, the principles of design, which are the core of design. And then a great assignment unit where you make your own project from scratch. And I go along with you on the ride, give you feedback. Previews are incoming too. We'll have some previews on the YouTube shortly. Ayub says, seeing how the industry is right now, what would you like people to take from this course, since design is a very complicated subject? Well, even outside of like industry concerns, design, a basis in design, being able to discuss design, is necessary for anyone who's trying to do anything original, right? Unless you know all that you're trying to do is illustrate things that have already been designed, right? Let's say all you want to do is fan art of things that have already been designed or already popular. You're just going to do illustrations of that. There, maybe you need minimal design in the most narrow sense of design. Even there, if we construe compositional questions as being design questions, which they are, then you still need design there. But like, even in that, so there's still design needs in that very narrow lens, but anything outside of that, it's like a grounding in design is necessary. Like, it's going to help you. It's going to be a crucial part of the art. So even outside of industry concerns, it's like everybody needs design, you know? It's not just about being a designer, which is one thing, but almost every art practice needs some sort of grounding in design. Everybody wants to have some vocabulary, some framework, some mental structure for doing something new. And that's the main thing that I want people to get out of it. It's like a lot of people, like here's the problem. For a lot of artists, if I say right now, not everybody, but certainly a lot of beginners, if I just say, discuss the design of something, or if I just say, just discuss design, go on, discuss design, they're like, I haven't the faintest, right? They really haven't the faintest. They don't know where to begin. It does not need to be that way. And that's a problem when you're trying to create something whole cloth, right? The body can do a lot. It's the body that makes the art, not the mind. But the conceptual parts, there's no way to ignore the fact that they are important and that they do influence what we make and that they're part of the feedback system. They're overemphasized in most people's practice these days, but in a healthy practice, they are still in the feedback loop, right? If you don't have some framework for design, the conceptual part of designing goes completely offline. All you can do is do this. All you can do is go, is that shape right? All you can do is iterate with the body and wait for a gut intuition to emerge. If you want anything beyond that, you need the framework, right? And the amazing thing is that the framework is not mysterious. It actually isn't mysterious. It's, you know, it's been around for a long time. People understand it. The elements of art through a design lens, right? What are the design plays we can do with line, value, form, void, color, texture, shape? It's the elements of art, and it's the principles of design, right? Rhythm, variety, repetition, contrast, balance, unity, ratio. It's like those relatively few vocabulary words do basically structure everything you could ever need to say about design. And then that allows you to talk to yourself about design and allows you to talk to others about design. Yeah, I think that that's immensely valuable for almost any artist. And that's why I wanted to teach it, because it was hugely valuable for me. And I was always a little shocked, like, you know, that there wasn't really much discussion about it, you know? Legion says, Steven, why do you think the trend of construction, cubes and spheres and cylinders being the secret sauce to drawing comes from? Where does it come from? I don't know where it comes from. It's just a thing of our era. It's like, it's not like sphere, you know, it's not like Michelangelo didn't know how to render a sphere. Da Vinci certainly was very interested in the basic forms, but yeah, their overemphasis is a little funny. If I had to guess, I would just say that it is because of, well, first off, they're overemphasized within our niche, right? They're not overemphasized if you go to a different kind of artistic environment. But like within YouTube, within drawing land, and specifically this kind of drawing land, like people who entertainment adjacent, you know, they're into anime, they want to do like realistic figure drawing, or, you know, just like, you know, really crafty drawing people. They intersect with the current paradigms of like YouTube art talk. And really, when I say YouTube, what I mean is asynchronous art talk. It's one person talking about art to people they don't know. That forces you to speak in generalizations, and because you don't know what the other people are working on. You don't know what the other artists who are listening to are working on. So you can't talk to them about their projects, which are actually the most important thing. And then it's only the generalizations that go big, right? On YouTube, only a generalization is going to, a specific thing couldn't go big because it's not relatable to enough people. And so that creates this illusion that the generalizations are what matter the most. And so that's where you get cubes, spheres, and cylinders being the building blocks for everything to draw. It's like something easily digestible. You wish it was true. You wish it would be the secret sauce. That then goes on to take on an outsized life of its own. That's my guess. I think that's why. Gerald Grant says, wow, this skull piece has the same vibe as my current work in progress. I'm going to post it on the Discord. Ah, the skull. Archetypal. You know, we've all got to do our skull duty regularly. Jaildo QSJR says, do you think it's important, though, drawing basic forms over and over? Is it really going to improve one's drawing skills? Over and over, I don't think so. I think what I usually say here is that I think most artists shouldn't be confused about a sphere. Like, I think there's two, but I don't think you need to do 1,000. Like, informed from imagination, all I ask from people is, like, give me one really good finished sphere. Like, just give me one, right? Like, I don't need to see, I'm not impressed by 1,000,000 mediocre spheres that don't show the necessary insights. It's like, same goes for cubes, same goes for cylinders. Like, the people who are drawing 1,000,000,000,000 of those in their sketchbook, it's like useful for a very tiny portion of artists for very particular applications. Is probably not you. It's probably not you. The part that is useful, I really think it's like, just do one sphere where you actually connected with everything that you needed to connect with on the sphere. Like, you really, with insight, understand how light is hitting it, how light compresses, what produces each of the modeling factors, why they're shaped the way that they're shaped, how they interact with the tabletop, the background. It's not an infinite list, right? It's a finite list of insights into the basics of how light reveals the form of a curving structure like a sphere to the eye of the viewer. If you just do one of those, I really think you're done. Like, I think you're done. You don't need to do 1,000,000 of them. Legion says, you had a video about how graphic energy beats construction, but I've noticed that construction is the trend on many art YouTube channels. Yeah. Like I answered before. Well, I think that must have been your question, right? Yeah, I think it's just because it's the thing you can talk about, you know? Like I said, it's the generalization that can be spoken about asynchronously, you know? Where is that Discord link? The Discord is, it's the Patreon Discord. So if you support on Patreon, that gets you into the Discord. How much is your class, Steve? Design Fundamentals is launching on sale to celebrate its launch. It's $390. You could see all of the info on the website, which is linked in the description. Form for Imagination is also on sale. But Form for Imagination has 3 different versions, and they're all on different sales. But the Form for Imagination sale is big. Like the big one, you know, the premium version with instructor feedback is it's $100 off. It's $100 off. Big sale, big sale. If you rendered a normal size skull next to this one, but same ratio, would the rendering alone be enough to have a sense of scale? My hope in something like this is that having one big skull will set the standard, and then I can even do less than render the other skulls. I think if I just silhouette them, the eye will fill in the rest. Like this sea of other bones that I'm thinking of here, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and render all of those. You know, just we'll wash it away in energy. That's it. Raw energy. Graphic energy. The truth is that if I sat there and I rendered each skull, the picture would probably look worse. It's like that's usually not actually good for a picture. It makes them sick. Which is honestly rich coming from me, because I am a glutton for detail. I have some nerve saying things like that, considering some of the pictures I've made. I can't find your Patreon. Let me do that. I must have taken it out of the description when I put the new links. 1 second. My keyboard is all twisted. All right. I put the link in the description. If you reload, you should see it. Sorry, y'all. Just managing some stuff over here. It's getting hot in here. Ooh, Lord, it's getting hot. All right, everybody. I'm going to take a little bathroom break, stretch my legs. So we went for another, try to move around every hour or so. I'll be back. Gonna go eat a handful of dried fruit, use the restroom. We'll work a little more. All right. My wife actually just got home, so I'm going to start wrapping up. I got to talk to her about some stuff, but I'll hang out for a little longer, answer any last questions if anybody has. WXNDWS says, what are you working on right now? A project I call the Adversaria. I guess it's a Webtoon. I really don't know where this kind of burst out of me a few days ago. I think I started on this like, when did I start on this? Maybe like 5 days ago? Like that. It's probably been less than a week. But I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun. It's based on some stuff that I wrote a while ago. The writing and direction is older, but the vertical Webtoon format, that's brand new. I really don't know where the heck that interest came from. It just kind of arose, and well, I always need stuff to draw on stream, so I'm just kind of riding the lightning here. I think I'm just going to be done with these. I really don't want to spend too long on any individual sequence. I got to go back and finish that, of course. I just, me personally, no one on stream, no one around here is going to be surprised. We're just like, I'm happiest when I'm working on project. So I'm always trying to just have a project going. It's like, I don't really need it to like have a, I don't really need the project to have like a specific end in mind. I just want, I like the way projects structure my thinking and my drawing time. Thanks, Wixen Deuce. Barbie Burninator says, hi, Steven. Wanted to say thanks for streaming. I've been depressed for a while and barely drawn, but sitting down and drawing while you stream always helps me to perk up. Thanks and good night. I'm sorry to hear you've been depressed, Barbie Burninator. I gotta admit, it hurts to hear. You've been around for a long time. I'm sorry that you're going through a tough one. Whatever amount the streams help, I consider it an honor, truly. I hope you feel better soon. Have a good night. Stefrod of Musim Bronjev says, Steven Zapata, I fuck with you heavy. This shit is a treat. So fun to draw alongside you. I'm very happy to have you drawing along, truly. What does ISTG stand for? I'm too much of an old man to know what ISTG stands for. How do you know how to balance living life and growing as an artist? Do you have a video already made about that topic? No, I mean, well, not life in general. Well, actually, now that I think about it, it's like not directly. It's not like me saying like, you know, make sure you spend this much time outside or anything like that. But the early videos on the channel, they do cover that a lot. It's more about the mental framework that will sort of help you automatically balance your needs for a life and connection with your desires to improve at art. So I would advise checking out, like, if you go to the YouTube channel, you go to the videos, and you sort it from oldest to newest, those first like 40 or so videos are short 10 to 15 minute drawing meditations where I ask you to sketch and I talk about stuff as we go, and I ask you to feel certain things and things like that. And it's a very odd answer, but that is my answer to how do you balance life and art. It's sort of finding a holistic acceptance that your life comes first, your art grows out of it. And so if you want to improve your art, you have to take care of your life and be compassionate towards yourself. It's a big topic, but it's in there. It's in those early videos. Ariane McMillan says, has anyone ever told you your art is playing it too safe or too basic? Too safe or basic? I don't think I've ever been accused of that. I mean, it's like, as someone who is, I draw some pretty wild stuff, you know, creatures and really like anxiety inducing stuff and things like that. So from my stance, drenched in that stuff, I could see an interpretation where I'm like, I see where I'm playing it safe, but no one else has ever said that to me. But in general, I wouldn't worry about that if anybody says it to you. It's like, you have to worry about being true to yourself, not to what anybody else thinks. That's always the most important thing. All right, guys, I'm going to get off of here in 4 minutes. Might as well hit the hard 3 hours. So any last questions, you let me know. Buddha Belly says, I get so much done drawing with you. Nice. Yeah, that's why I love doing the streams. I know people are drawing along. That's a nice feeling, you know? It feels like I'm helping to add more drawing to the world, you know? So I really appreciate it that you're sitting there and drawing. Like I said, I really think it's, you know, I don't know if you caught it earlier in the stream when I gave my longer explication of it, but I think it's good for the world that people spend their time drawing. I think a lot of us would go nuts and make the world a worse place if we weren't being creative. So I think it's actually very important. Anon says, hey, Stephen, what's one thing about perspective most individuals never even consider when figuring it out? For me, a breakthrough came when I realized all objects have their own horizon lines. All objects have their own horizon lines. I think I know what you're talking about there, but I would phrase it differently. But that's immaterial. That's not actually the question. What one perspective thing that people don't consider and then they figure it out, breakthrough. I think a lot of people don't really. I think learning how to rotate vanishing points controlled is a big breakthrough for a lot of people. I think that you know, a lot of people go through perspective just thinking you kind of set the vanishing points arbitrarily somewhere, and then you draw the lines from them, and you always get like cubes when you do those lines. They don't know that, no, that's not true. Like, if the vanishing points are actually producing a cube and not something like a rhombus or something like that, is dependent on what's the cone of vision, where's the station point, and then are you actually projecting 90-degree vanishing points from the station point? I think when people, at least for me, when that finally all clicked into place, I felt like all of very linear perspective fell into place. Like that one thing, you know, I had to go through it a few times and really get what was happening. But when I saw like, oh, right, since it's 90 degrees down here coming from the station point, the vanishing points hit the horizon line up here. And so if I draw cubes from these points, it makes an actual 90-degree angle in perspective. So that means if I do a 30-degree here, I can make a 30-degree corner. I can choose to make a 45-degree corner, right? I'm not trapped by 90-degree corners. And that also means that I can just rotate the projection and make cubes that are rotated in any position. When that clicked for me, I honestly felt like I could be given the blueprints to a building and accurately project the building into perspective. I felt like that was like the gateway to what old drafts people used to do. No one does it by hand anymore, but an architectural draftsman, that was their job. They would be given plans and they would need to make accurate drawings that presented the plan for the building in perspective. When I got that, I was like, I get it now. I feel like I could do it. You need some other things, you know, to be really accurate. You need to know how to do measure bars and things like that. And that's a total pain in the butt. But that was the big thing for me. And I think a lot of people would benefit from that. You can learn it in a day, how to do that. But I think that's a big unlock for people in perspective. Joe Grant says, thank you for the stream. I can't wait to put on the replay of this while I work later to catch up. Thank you for watching, Daryl. I appreciate it. Enjoy that replay. And then enjoy hearing me say this again to you in the replay. It's like you're living it, and then you're also going to get a ghost of it. How strange is that? Roundbrush says, design course looks really high quality. Congrats. Thank you so much, Roundbrush. Oh, we'll play the promo when we leave. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about it. Yeah, your earlier videos talk about being in the world and living, to pull from your life to create your art and not drawing till empty. I remember always keep stuff in the tank. So important. So important. Don't exhaust yourself. Daryl Grant called that out at the bottom too. Keeping some in the tank has helped me so much when work gets super busy. Yeah, it's like, for anyone who hasn't heard it, I always say, like, if you feel you can draw 7 hours a day, do 5. don't push yourself to your edge every day. You're going to burn out. For some reason, if you drop your tank, your energy level to 0, moving it from 0, just getting the first percent, takes weirdly longer, way longer than just stopping with 10% left. There, with that 10% in the base, it's quite easy to refill the tank and get back up to 100. So it's much better to never push yourself all the way to that empty edge unless you really have to, right? Unless you're on a deadline or something like that. And even then, questionable. Tarka says, I'm creeped out by things most people are normally creeped out by, except my own art, which is admittedly a bit macabre. Do you feel the same? Or is your own art able to scare yourself as well? My art doesn't scare me. I draw all the stuff that I draw because I think it's cool, not because I think it's scary. And as to what other people think about it, I don't know. I mean, I know my art isn't mainstream. I know it's never going to go mainstream. People tend to like prettier things in general, but enough people seem to like it that I don't know, I really don't have any insecurity about it. I think I have a realistic understanding that a mass audience generally likes prettier things than I tend to produce, right? I'm not painting, you know, pretty flowers most of the time or anything like that. So I have that realistic stance, but it's not like people don't like the work. I know people like the work, so I don't worry about that. I just keep following my nose and trying to do the things that I really like, you know? Let's see if I just roughly grab this. How does it feel if I drop it here after? Yeah, okay, lot to think about. Lot to think about. Could work, could work. We're just taking a first glance at this new sequence here on stream. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. This one I think I want to redraw. This one I like. I mean, it needs work. But how much work, you know? There's a lot of pictures in this. But this one I like quite a bit. Good foundation. This one I was a little iffy on, but my wife liked it. And I trust her taste, so now I like it. Cody says, for a fantasy illustration portfolio, what boxes should be ticked if there are any? I think that comes down to specifically where you're sending the portfolio. If it's just general, like just it's like, I think it would really benefit people if they knew, like, I want to work for Magic, let's say. And if you're going to make a fantasy illustration portfolio, have that company as your lead in mind and kind of tailor it towards them. I think that's a good idea. So because Magic has particular constraints, right? Like, yes, they have the archetypal things that a lot of other fantasy properties have, but there, you know, okay, each illustration actually needs to have an identifiable and clear color cast because that's how Magic works, right? You need to be able to tell at a glance Is this a red card? Is this a green card? Is this a black card? The mechanics of the game are heavily influencing the choices there about the illustration. And that would, I mean, you can imagine if you pick that as a structure, that would save you a lot of time in just dawdling around in total confusion where you could do anything. It's like, all right, my portfolio should have a red card, a green card, a blue card, a black card, a white card. So I think it's good to do something like that. If it's just general, I don't know, it's hard, you know? Companies try to differentiate themselves. Companies don't want generally speaking. They want something that feels like it could be for them. That's one of the things that makes it so hard to become a commercial artist. It's like, companies don't want to hire you because you're badass. Companies want to hire you because you happen to make the thing that they're trying to sell already. Pain in the ass. If I had to say anything, I think for fantasy, showing an acumen for special effects, it seems to be generally, that always seems to be good, and you see it in most portfolios. So showing that you are good at illustrating a magic spell being executed or special lighting, something like that. I think in general, that would be a good thing to showcase for any fantasy property, because it is a particular skill. You know, there's quite a bag of tricks needed to set an illustration up to showcase something like a magic spell going off well, you know? But yeah, think specific. Think specific. Enemio Gtist says, I'm going to put you on my to-do list, Steve. I feel really good about this. On your to-do list? What could that mean? What could it mean? Aisha W says, Steven, that's the inspiring part. The doing what you like and not for others. That concept has helped me so much, and I draw almost every day when I took away those limitations. Beautiful. Wonderful. That's great. I'm very happy to hear that, Aisha. No problem, Cody. Mohammed says, I'm also making my graphic design portfolio, and the problem that's facing me is that my projects have very different styles and visual appeal. I'm not aiming for especially any agency, but junior position. I think for an industry as broad as graphic design, I don't think that's bad. You know, I'm not a graphic designer, but from what I'm familiar with from that industry, I think if you're going for entry level, a bit of a shotgun seems like it should work, you know, because graphic design is about creating sort of distinct visual directions on each gig, right? Which is not really necessarily true in like illustration, right? So I feel like it would work, you know. The illustration style that we were talking about when we were talking about, you know, getting gigs with fantasy companies and things like that. It's like, that's kind of already a niche within a niche, you know. Graphic design broadly construed is much broader than that world. So I feel like it should be fine, but take that with a grain of salt. I'm not a graphic designer, and I've never worked as a graphic designer, so I'm not sure. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for drawing along. I will be around. You'll be seeing a lot of me. And if you check out the course, thank you for checking out the course. Thank you for the people who have already joined. Thank you for the patrons who support this channel. If you want to support in your own little way, I've been mentioning it lately, but tell a friend. Tell a friend if you like the stream and you think that they're the kind of weirdo that would like it. You see what we talk about here, what we do here is not the kind of thing that's ever going to go mainstream, be viral, you know, clickbaity, do this challenge, something like that. It ain't gonna happen. The only way that this thing grows, the only way that this thing keeps going is a more personal touch. Word of mouth that looks like, you also are a very strange person. Have you ever heard of Steven Zapata? You might like him. That might be the only way this grows. So if anyone has the gall, the gumption, the inner steel to reach out in such a way to a friend or an acquaintance, I would really appreciate it. All right, everybody. If you're going to continue your drawing session tonight, I wish you the best of luck with your drawing, and I will see you all very soon. Goodbye to Tarkus. Goodbye to Boxer Wing. Goodbye to Kyokusei, who says, bye, Steven. Thanks for streaming and happy course day. Thank you, Kyo. Goodbye to Aisha. Goodbye to 2 of Lan 956. Goodbye to Buddha Belly. Goodbye to Anon. It says, last question before I go, what would be a recommended way to go about speaking to creators at conventions? And in that, asking them for advice without bothering them. I'm not going to rush an answer to that. Ask me that the next time you catch me on stream. We could talk about that more. But it's, I would to shorthand it, come in with focused questions. You can't take up much of their time. They're in a very time-constrained situation there. You know, you need to have a little emotional quotient there. Have a plan. Have focused questions. All right, everybody. Goodbye, Liliqui. Goodbye, Daryl Grant. Enemio Gatist. Goodbye. AO Draws. Goodbye, AO Draws. WXNDWS. Goodbye. Helly Spoon. See you. Junior Wolf. Goodbye. Happy drawing, everybody. Take care. Strefrod Mooseman Bronjev. Goodbye. Goodbye. Promo one more time. Come on. Hello, everyone. My name is Steven Zapata, greatest living draftsman, and I've got a new course out, Design Fundamentals. It's meant to help you understand design on a comprehensive and principled level and show you how to run projects that build skills and contribute to a portfolio. Maybe you want to be a concept artist, an illustrator, a fine artist, or just the most badass hobbyist on your block. Whatever you want to do with art, if you ever want to do anything vaguely original, you need to understand design. You need a process and a mental framework for getting to something new rather than just copying what you've seen before or photos of stuff that already exists. If you do want to improve at design, that process, that mental framework, it does exist. It's based on the principles of design, and I've spent the past year, wait, is it more than a year? Oh my God, this took forever. I've spent the past whatever putting this course together, full of my insights into the elements of art and the principles of design. Across 10 assignments in this course, you will be concepting your own imagined video game. You'll come up with the overall idea, you'll pick a theme, you'll write a treatment, and you'll design assets that give you a chance to practice all these new concepts. And at the end, all of these individual assignments come together into a cohesive final image. When I designed this syllabus, I wanted to make the course I wish I had taken back in my first year of school. And I did. If I was asked to teach Design 1 at Art Center today, I would just play these videos as my lectures, and this is the same cohesive, practical, fun assignment I would make the students do all semester. Also, just like a college course, everyone gets my feedback on all 10 assignments. In the exclusive course community, you can post your work to get feedback from me and your peers, and there's even a video workroom that's always open so you can hang out together while you work, and to celebrate the course launching, it's on sale. So get it while the getting's good. If you're interested in my first course, Form from Imagination, it is also on sale. So if you're interested, go to zapatacourses.com/design fundamentals and check it out. And I will see you on the other side of the mystical gateway.